Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of words, recorder of videos, and lover of year-end top 10 lists. Welcome to my personal top 10 video games of 2019. One of the best parts about my list is comparing it to my previous most anticipated games list published last January. Here's a brief recap of my most anticipated games of 2019, starting with number 1, Pokemon Sword and Shield, followed by Age of Wonders Planetfall, Desperados 3, The Outer Worlds, Warcraft 3 Reforged, Anthem, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Wargroove, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. Now, keep in mind, many 2019 releases hadn't even been announced yet. And for example, at the time, the new Pokemon game didn't even have a name. In my notes, I just wrote down Untitled Pokemon game for Switch. Now, we can go even further into the comparisons with my mid-year top 5 list, which I did back in June of this year. Let's see in this corner. So here's a recap of my top 5 games as of June 2019. Number 1, Wargroove, followed by SteamWorld Quest, Hand of Gilgamesh, Slay the Spire, Druidstone, The Secret of Benhir Forest, and Fellseal, Arbiter's Mark. All indie games, which is pretty cool. Most of them I hadn't even heard of, which is why they're not on my most anticipated list for the most part. We'll see if any of them can hang on for my end-of-year list. Finally, whenever I did that list, I also did my top 5 most anticipated games for the second half of the year, which tends to be a bit more accurate than my January list. This one was in alphabetical order in this corner, which includes Age of Wonders Planetfall, Borderlands 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, Pokemon Sword and Shield. All right, so now you know where my head was going into the year, as well as where I was halfway through the year in June. Now we can see where I'm at the end of the year as of December 27th, 2019. Now, I didn't play every game in 2019, including some of the big ones, but I did play over 20 games, and it ended up being a pretty hot internal deliberation for my number 1 spot. For the first time in pretty much ever, I didn't really have a very crystal clear number 1 game of the year going into this list. I really had to sit down and deliberate between some of my favorite games. All right, here are my top 10 games of 2019, starting with number 10. My number 10 game is Remnant from the Ashes. Remnant squeaked onto my top 10 list at the last second when my friends and I realized we hadn't been playing any co-op games in a while. We picked it up during the Steam Autumn Sale. Remnant is a game I have yet to play single player and have no real desire to try, but I've had an excellent time playing cooperatively online with my friends. It's best described as Left 4 Dead meets Dark Souls, with challenging, intricate third-person combat with guns, with an important focus on watching your teammates' backs. Some boss battles alone have taken us entire evenings to conquer, but we always have a good time doing it. Number 10, Remnant from the Ashes. My number 9 game of the year is Planet Zoo. Even an impressive, well-polished zoo theme park game can't quite compete to my love of dinosaurs with Frontier's previous park sim, Jurassic Park Evolution, which was my number 6 game of 2018. But Planet Zoo is certainly good enough to warrant a spot on this year's top 10 list. It combines the animal AI and needs from Jurassic Park Evolution with the advanced park management and customization from Planet Coaster, making it Frontier's most impressive sim to date. Planet Zoo's animal AI is as impressive as it is sometimes maddening, turning a theme park sim into part-time babysitting. But I can't help but love the attention to detail, the emphasis on conservation and education, the gorgeous graphics, and multiple gameplay modes. Planet Zoo is my number 9 game. At number 8, we see the first game from my mid-year list with SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh. I've enjoyed Imaging Quest's previous SteamWorld games and respected the hell out of the fact that they're all different genres, from Metroidvania to 2D XCOM. SteamWorld Quest is yet another different genre, this one combining satisfying deck building and card battling within a brightly colored side-scrolling RPG. It's well-balanced and perfectly paced at around 20 hours, and is one of the rare card battling games that actually has a legit story and characters. Number 8, SteamWorld Quest. We're going back-to-back digital card games with my number 7 game, Slay the Spire. Now, of all the games on my top 5 mid-year list, Slay the Spire is the only one I've actually gone back to play since, and a big reason for that is because it's the perfect game to play on the Switch. The roguelike deck builder is incredibly addicting and balanced to a razor's edge for each of the 3 classes. I love playing through a run while cooking dinner or watching TV, testing out new strategies and card synergies and seeing how far I get. I may not end up dumping dozens of hours into it, but I do plan on playing this one off and on throughout the next year. My number 7 game, Slay the Spire. Number 6 It's Pokemon. Pokemon Sword, to be precise. It's no secret that the first mainline Pokemon game on a home console has been divisive for fans. Hell, I wrote up a list of all the things I love and hate about Pokemon Sword and Shield for gaming website pixelkin.org. And obviously, it did end up falling off my vaunted #1 spot on my most anticipated list. But there's no denying that I've enjoyed the hell out of my time with this game. The wild area alone is amazing, a tantalizing tease of a truly open world Pokemon game that I've been dreaming about for years. I've spent an embarrassing amount of hours just wandering around catching Pokemon in the wild area, and the new Gen 8 Pokemon are some of the best we've had in several generations. If Sword and Shield are the start of a new era of Pokemon games, I think we have a lot to be excited about. #6 game, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now we're moving on to the top half of my list with Wargroove, my #5 game. My favorite game of the mid-year fell a few places in my end-year ranking to the more flashier AAA games of the latter half, but Wargroove is still a phenomenal strategy game. It completely rips off Advance Wars in all the right ways, from its pixelated art style to its hard counter units, but with an original story and fantasy world filled with fun characters and factions. The campaign is astonishingly huge, and that's on top of skirmish modes, puzzle modes, and a level editor for all the pixelated warfare I could ask for. #5, Wargroove. My #4 game is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order. I didn't know what to expect from the Switch exclusive third game in a series that hadn't seen a release in 10 years. I was a fan of co-op beat 'em up Marvel Ultimate Alliance games and X-Men Legend games back in the day, and I'm more than pleased to reveal my undying love for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order. MUA 3 captures exactly what I loved about the older games, a customizable team of dozens of Marvel superheroes battling waves of bad guys with just enough RPG elements, powers, and challenges to keep me locked in. MUA 3 did drop the ball a bit with its horrendous camera when playing couch co-op. Otherwise, this could have easily been my #1 game of the year. Even so, it only fell to #4 on my final ranking, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. My #3 game of the year is Age of Wonders Planetfall. As soon as Triumph Studios announced their next Age of Wonders game, it rocketed near the top of my most anticipated list. Age of Wonders 3 was a fantastic turn-based strategy game that revitalized the series and was probably the best tactical strategy game since Heroes of Might and Magic 3. In very high praise indeed. Age of Wonders Planetfall does not disappoint. The sci-fi sequel keeps the solid 4X strategy while streamlining colonization with sectors and expanding the tactical depth of combat, along with a meaty campaign mode. Also, the factions include undead cyborgs and Amazons riding laser-mounted alien dinosaurs. Hell yes. Age of Wonders Planetfall, my #3 game of the year. My #2 game of the year is The Outer Worlds. When Fallout New Vegas released in 2010, we knew Obsidian Entertainment was capable of crafting an excellent Fallout RPG off of Bethesda's first-person open-world style. The Outer Worlds is proof that they can make their own first-person RPG, and it's a damn good one. The Outer Worlds brilliantly combines the best parts of Mass Effect, with memorable party members and zipping around to different planets, and Fallout, with its snarky world poking fun at capitalism and rewarding exploration and that cool slow-mo combat, to create a game that's the opposite of innovative, but a very enjoyable AAA experience. All of this works because it has legitimately great writing, with party members I actually cared about, and a shockingly down-to-earth story that doesn't rely on big bad killer robots or genocidal aliens. Best of all, it distills all the good parts of those big RPGs down to a very well-paced and manageable 20 to 30 hour game. The Outer Worlds, my #2 game of the year, which brings us to #1. What is my game of 2019? Any guesses? It's Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 is an amazing game and a worthy sequel to one of the best games of the previous generation. Now, I admit the story and overall writing isn't quite up to the high standards set by Borderlands 2 and its equally excellent DLC, but the new characters are solid, and the gameplay offers tons of welcome improvements, such as multiple and customizable abilities per character, separate loot tables for parties, and alt firing modes on top of the ridiculous amount of guns. The threequel smartly doesn't try to fix what sure as hell wasn't broken about the series, the fantastic co-op looter-shooter gameplay. The Borderlands series also means a lot to my wife and me, and we actually played through all of Borderlands 2 again before this one came out. I've played Borderlands 3 for 50 hours so far, and 40 of those hours have been with split-screen co-op, and we have enjoyed every minute of it. For that reason, Borderlands 3 is my #1 game of 2019. All right, so let's break down with my final list. It's getting crowded up in here. So final ranking, starting from the top, Borderlands 3 at number 1, followed by The Outer Worlds, Age of Wonders Planetfall, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order, Wargroove, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Slay the Spire, SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh, Planet Zoo, and Remnant from the Ashes. So only 4 games from my most anticipated list made it to the end. Borderlands 3 hadn't even been announced yet. While 2 of the games were pushed to 2020, that was Desperados 3 and Warcraft 3 Reforged. Warcraft 3 Reforged, the remaster of Warcraft 3, just barely missed out on 2019. I believe it launches in January. That leaves us with 3 games, which I can go over really quick. Anthem was the Fallout 76 of this year. Everybody thought it was kind of questionable, but we all had high hopes and ended up just crashing and burning really terribly. I played the beta, didn't end up getting the game at all, and kind of dodged a bullet with that one. Kingdom Hearts 3, I did end up getting and really, really hated it. I thought it was a huge disappointment. I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I just enjoy the other games, 1 and 2 back in the day. And I played it and I was like, oh, this is just a PS2 game in like all the worst ways. So I really detested that game. It was very largely disappointing for me. And I ended up not finishing it. And the final one, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, is a game I've been excited about. I backed it on Kickstarter, and unfortunately, that's the game that I just ran out of time to play. I'm literally about 2.5 hours in as of right now, and I just didn't play enough of it to warrant ranking it on my list. I've enjoyed what I've played, but I need to play more of that game. So unfortunately, it's going to get my dubious, didn't have time to finish award on my full list, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. All right, I think that will... I can mention Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which was on my most anticipated games of the mid-year. That game also ended up falling flat for me, which is odd because Monster Hunter World was my game of the year, my number 1 game of the year in 2018. So I was hugely excited for this massive expansion pack. Unfortunately, it ended up just requiring too much late-game grinding for me. It was insanely difficult. It just got to a point where I didn't want to go back and just do all the things I'd already done. It didn't add enough of the new stuff right away. And it released in the fall, where a lot of other fun games, I was basically playing Age of Wonders Planetfall instead, whereas Monster Hunter World, the original, came out in February, which was a much easier time to jump in and exclusively play that game. All right, so I think that will do it for my top 10 games of 2019 video. Do go to roguewatson.com for an expanded list that includes all of this fun listicle information, plus individual rewards, such as my most disappointing game of the year and my most played game. Fun tease, this year, the same game went to both categories. If you'd like to support the channel, which is mostly D&D related content, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. Shout out to my platinum patrons, Andrew, Richard, Joe, Will, Tiny Dancer, Nick, and Rodney, and gold patrons, RPG Papercrafts, Charming Grenade, Pretty Boy Numa, Marcos Dade, Vicente, Gilberto, Sean, A.K., Cert2B, Adam, Dead Lizard Lounge, Sam, and Arash. Look for my most anticipated list at RogueWatson.com within the next several weeks, and I'll see everyone next year.